Welcome to Basement MTG with me, a nerd in his basement. In this video I'll be going over the red-green deck, the Forest Fire deck, and the contents of that deck. There are videos out there you can check out that are against the self-playing deck, the Horde, or against the Defeat a God deck to show this deck being tested. Those videos don't always show all the cards in the deck, so this video here is to do that. Obviously there's some forests and mountain in the deck, as it is a red-green deck. The non-basic lands in this deck, Reliquary Tower. I like to stick one in here. There are some certain ways in here where I do possibly draw a lot of cards, so it's nice to have one of those in there just in case to stick out so I don't have to discard everything. Put this up here, no maximum hand size. Terrain Generator. Putting a basic land out on the battlefield tapped. I like having that in there mostly for this aggressive mining over here, which I'll talk about in a second, but that one says you can't play lands, so this is a good way to get lands in after that. Adds 1 mana, Crystal Vein, sack it for 2. Like having certain lands in here that can sack not only mana acceleration, but also sacking lands does trigger certain things in this deck. 2 Myriad Landscapes, come in tapped, tap 2 to sack them, search basic lands, share a type. Gargoyle Castle, tap 5, sack it to get a 3/4 flying. Not only triggers the sacking of lands, but also I don't have a lot of flying in this deck, so it's a nice way to have a couple from the lands. Drownyard Temple. This is a good way when I'm not able to play lands. You can get the sack land triggers with this, but then also pay 3 to return it back. Keep that cycle going. And 4 Evolving Wilds. Sack for basic lands. For instance, in sorceries, I have 3 Harrows. There's an instant where you sack it, or cast it, sack a land, search your library for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. They do not have to come in tapped. Explosive Singularity. It's an additional cost to cast it. You can tap any number of untapped creatures, and it costs 1 less for each creature tapped. That way, 10 damage to any target. This deck has a good ways of getting in a lot of 0/1 plants, a lot of tokens, 5/3 elementals, things like that. So typically if you have this card, you should hopefully have a lot of creatures to get the cost down and dish out 10 damage or something for cheap. Signal the Clans. Search for 3 creature cards and reveal them. If they have different names, you can choose one at random and put it in your hand and shuffle the rest into the library. It's a nice way to get out some of the specific things you want in the deck. Splendid Reclamation, return all lands from the graveyard, the battlefield tapped. As I said, there's some sacking in here for getting rid of a lot of lands to trigger. Oh, there's another Harrow. World Soul's Rage. Really good card for this deck. It does X damage. Well, tap a green in a mountain for X and X. Does X damage to any target. Put up to X lands from your hand or graveyard on the battlefield tapped. It's an awesome way to get lands back from the graveyard or get lands in when you can't play them anymore. Atarka's Command. Choose 2 of the 4 abilities. So have your opponents not gain life. 3 damage to each opponent. Put a land from your hand on the battlefield. Again, a good way to get a land in if you can't play them. Or creatures get +1/+1 and gain reach until end of turn, which again I said there's not a ton of flying in this deck, so it's nice to have a little bit of defense against that. Some non-creature, non-planeswalker permanents. Aggressive Mining. Can't play lands, but you can sack a land to draw 2 cards. Activate it once a turn. That can get going pretty good, depending on a lot of the land acceleration in this deck. If you have a lot of land acceleration, start sacking lands each turn to draw cards, then you might want that Reliquary Tower to have no maximum hand size. Colony Heart Expedition, 3 of those. Similar to Harrow, it's an enchantment. Has landfall. When a land comes in, put a quest counter on it. Sack it to get 2 basic lands in tapped. The only difference is Harrow is an instant that gets the lands in untapped as you sack land. This one, as land comes in, you can sack it for 2 lands. So not exactly the same thing, but end result is getting 2 extra lands, a little mana acceleration. Dwarven Armory. Sack a land to put, well, tap 2, sack a land to put a +2/+2 counter on target creature. Use it during the upkeep. Now with mana acceleration, not only you should have the 2 at the upkeep and easily have more to continue playing other stuff that turn, but also sacking the lands triggers things. As we saw, lots of lands can come in different ways. Even if lands aren't coming in, there's things like this. Xenagos, the Reveler. His +1 adds mana. That's mainly why I like them in there. I like different ways to add mana if I'm sacking too many lands. But he can also get into 2/2 red-green Satire for his 0 ability. And you can get in some creature cards, minusing 6, exile top 7, putting a number of creature or lands on the battlefield. Another way also to get lands back in. Even if I can play lands, a good way to accelerate anyway. Get things rolling in this deck. Garruk, Primal Hunter. 3/3 Beast token. Draw cards equal to the greatest power of creatures you control, or put a 6/6 in for each land you control. Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury. Another way to get some mana. The token adds green mana. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. Draw a card for each green creature you control. That draw card for each green creature, when you get some tokens coming in and all that, that's where you definitely need the Reliquary Tower. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Get a 0/1 plant, 1/1 counter on each creature, or gain life and draw X cards where X is the number of lands you control. Now into the creatures. Dragon Master Outcast. At the beginning of upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, get a 5/5 token with flying. Another way to get some flying into this deck. Do only have one of those cards in here though. I think I might only have 1 copy total. I've bought in singles in the past. I don't buy many singles. I mostly try to go with packs and what I have in there. Try to get my decks going off that. But again, I'm not against it or anything. I have definitely done that, but can't remember if I have another one of these or not. But even if I did, one in the deck is good. If you're drawing some cards, hopefully you get into them, get some flying out there to help you out. Tireless Tracker. Land comes in, investigate, get those clue tokens for some more drawing cards. Sack a clue, get a 1/1 counter on them. Final Fantasy card. Here's one of the newer cards in this deck. Mill 5 cards, return all lands from the graveyard tapped. Beef up some creatures when he leaves on the last one there. But mostly it's good getting those lands back from the graveyard, and it's a 5-mana 7/7 reach trample until then. Another way to block out some flying, and just a big old beast there. Let's see, there's a couple of these. Courser of Krufix, I think, yeah, there's 3. 3 of these. Play with the top card of your library revealed. Play a land from the top. When a land enters, gain a life. Borborygmos, Enraged. Deals combat damage to a player. You can reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed that way in your hand. The rest in the graveyard. Discard a land, and he'll deal 3 damage to a creature or player. And 7/6 trample. Nothing to sneeze at there. I can't remember if there's 2 of these in the deck. So I'm going to look real quick. Nope. Avenger of Zendikar. Gets 0/1 plant tokens when he enters for how many lands you control. When a land enters, put 1/1 counters on each plant. Let's skip over to Phylath. That's a similar creature. When it enters, you get a 0/1 plant for each land. This one, though, is when a land enters, you get 4 1/1 counters on 1 plant. Nissa also creates plants. Kind of a theme there, a little bit of plant creation. Deus of Calamity. When it trample, when it deals 6 damage to an opponent, destroy a land they control. I don't condone destroying lands, but sometimes it must be done. Primal Titan. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, search up your library for 2 lands. Does not have to be basic, put them in tapped. Ember Swallower. After just saying I don't condone destroying lands, here's something else that destroys lands. When it gets monsterized, each player sacks 3 lands. Now, see, I'm sacking them too. See? Now, just because I have 15 out there at the time, it's not my problem if you don't. Turn Timber Sour. 1 or more lands goes to the graveyard. Get a 0/1 green plant. Sack 3 creatures. Return a land from the graveyard to your hand. Nissa, Vastwood Seer. When it enters, search up a basic forest. Put it in your hand. When 7 or more... Or when a land enters and you have 7 or more, you can exile her to the Planeswalker. Another good way to get some more lands in your hand, or even just it's kind of just drawing cards. You either land accelerate, get the land on the battlefield, or put in the card in your hand after you reveal the top card of your library. Legendary 4/4 elemental named Ashaya, the Awoken, comes in with the minus, or untap up to 6 target lands. They become 6/6 elementals till end of turn. Or actually, oh, you know what? That's not till end of turn. That's for good. They're still lands. It's good to read the card. Rampaging Baloth. Trample, landfall. When a land comes in, get a 4/4 beast token. Another new addition to this from the Final Fantasy, Tifa Lockhart. There's a lot of lands coming in here, so we want to double up that power, get it going. A little trample. Another Ember Swallower. Put these up to the front. There's 3 Titania Protectors of Argoth. When she enters, return a land from the graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 5/3 elemental into play. That's the main reason I built this deck, was from here, just getting some of the sack lands going. Cycling all that landfall, getting lands in, cycling them out, drawing cards, sacking them, getting tokens. Let's see, we got 2 Sylvan Safekeepers, sack a land, target creature control gains Shroud. Really just to protect Titania most of the time. Another Rampaging Baloth in there. Mina and Den, play an additional land on each of your turns. Return the land to your hand to give a creature trample. Omnath, Locus of Rage. Landfall, when a land enters, get a 5/5 red-green elemental. When Omnath or another elemental you control dies, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. That fits well also with Titania, as these are 5/3 elemental tokens that she's getting from the land sacking. Moraug, Fury of Akum. Not sure if I'm pronouncing these things right, but whatever. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 each time it attacks this turn. When a land enters the battlefield, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of combat, untap all creatures you control. So get some landfall going in and get some extra attack phases. Lastly, Undergrowth Champion. Damage would be dealt to Undergrowth Champion while it has a 1/1 counter on it. Prevent the damage, remove a 1/1 counter. Landfall. Land comes in, put a 1/1 counter on him. That is it for the Forest Fire deck. Like I said before, don't forget to check out the other videos where I test this deck against Battle the Horde or Defeat a God. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.